Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 1st, 2021 meeting of the Gaithersburg Planning Commission. Where did the summer go, right? We have a fairly short agenda tonight. First up is the approval of our minutes from July 21st. If there's no discussion, is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the minutes of July 21st, 2021 as presented in the record.
Second.
All right, it's moved and seconded. Commissioner Wessel.
Aye.
Commissioner Winborn.
Aye.
Commissioner Cantrell.
Aye.
And Commissioner Hopkins.
Although I was absent, I did watch it on replay, so I'll be voting aye.
All right, great, and I'll vote aye as well. That passes unanimously. And I will say for the record, alternate Commissioner Sharon Cantrell is participating fully tonight, as not all of the regular commissioners are present. So thank you for being here tonight. Next up is our one and only, at least regulatory agenda item tonight. And that's for sign permit sign-25865-2021, Five Below shelter sign located at 516 North Frederick Avenue in the CD corridor development zone. And this is a major waiver. I haven't seen that as a title on an item, I think, ever. Presenting from staff is Chris Berger. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening. If the tech team can pull up packet page 9, please. The applicant, SEMA Network Incorporated, has submitted a sign permit application that requests approval to install a sign on the trellis in front of the retail unit at 516 North Frederick Avenue in the Gaithersburg Square Shopping Center. The subject property is zone CD, which is corridor development. According to section 24-210B14.2, shelter signs, such as the one proposed for on top of the trellis, must not exceed 18 inches in letter height. Therefore, this application comes before the Planning Commission because the proposed shelter sign on the trellis exceeds the letter height limit by 6 inches. And the applicant seeks a major waiver for the proposed disparity in accordance with section 24-213B of the City Code. I'll now turn it over to Patricia Harris. She's an attorney at Lurch, Early and Brewer, who will present the plan. And also joining us tonight are Christine McGurl and Rob Jakubik of Federal Realty, which is the owner of the Gaithersburg Square Shopping Center. And we also have Lindsay Lupino, who is with the sign company SEMA Network. So Ms. Harris, if you would like to present the plans.
Thanks, Chris. Good evening, all.
Good evening, Pat Harris with Lurch, Early and Brewer, and thank you, Chris, for introducing our team. And thank you, first of all, to staff for their help and assistance on this. I'm here on behalf of the sign applicant and the property owner, Federal Realty, in connection with this, what's called a major waiver, but it is only 6 inches. So I would like to refer to it as a major minor waiver, perhaps. As you may be aware, Federal Realty is in the midst of a renovation of the entire center, to refreshen it and upgrade it and make it a little bit more timely. And in connection with this, there's also been a number of new leases. They are in the process of leasing that corner space, which is the subject of this application, which is in the elbow of the shopping center. And as you can see on the exhibit in front of you on page 25, the vast majority of that facade is actually obscured because that it sort of sits back behind the Ross store. So it doesn't have the benefit of a full facade upon which the lettering could be placed. The only portion of the facade that actually is visible, you can also see here, it's indented, recessed, if you will, and it's a fairly short distance. And so there's not adequate space there to get the sufficient amount of lettering on the facade. The property is all that's retail space is also set back significantly, both from the drive aisle, the major drive aisle, the east-west drive aisle, and then more than 500 feet from both rights of ways. And so the purpose of our 6-inch waiver is to include what's called a shelter sign on the trellis that is being constructed at in front of the store at the elbow, again, of the shopping center. And for those of you that have been out there, you may be familiar with the prior sign that was there for the Chuck E. Cheese. A large sign on even a more imposing physical structure as a concrete pavilion type structure. Consistent with federal's goals of trying to lighten the entire shopping center, make it a little bit more modern. They've gotten rid of that pavilion and they're replacing it with a wooden light and airy trellis. And the thought and desire is to place the tenant signage on the trellis so that it is in fact more visible from further points within the shopping center. So a shelter sign is permitted, but as staff indicated, the maximum lettering on that shelter sign can only be 18 inches. And it is extremely important to this prospective tenant that the signage be increased by 6 inches to 24 inches. There in the packet on pages 36 through 38, there's examples of other signage throughout the entire center where most of the signage actually is that 24-inch lettering, even for the retail spaces that are considerably smaller than this site. This is one of the larger spaces in the center, comparable to the CVS store. So I can go into, we did submit a very detailed submission, and I'm happy to go into even more detail if you desire. But the request this evening is for a major waiver to increase the lettering by 6 inches. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Is that all for the presentation? Nobody else in the team will be presenting anything? You're just
That's
looking
correct.
for questions. Okay.
And we're here for questions.
Great, thanks very much. And I do appreciate the in-depth submittal packet because it was very detailed and thorough. So that was great. Chris, I'm going to ask you for two quick clarifications. I think the first one is in terms of what we consider shelter signs in the city. I'm guessing you had to find something that sort of aligned with what they're proposing here, but a shelter sign is probably not usually on a shopping center somewhere. It's in some other application. Is that fair?
I can't think of any other instances of shelters in the city. I don't know, Greg, if you have any familiarity, but
what is the context for a shelter sign? Like, what does that really mean? I guess is what I'm trying to lead up.
Well, I guess the example that we're seeing here is to place a sign on top of, a pavilion or something like that, any kind of place any small structure that gives some degree of shelter. But in terms of other examples, I can't think of any in the city.
Okay. So just to draw one out of a hat, there's a small pavilion in the Kentlands, for example, that has, I think, a small set of letters up on the fascia, but that'd be the kind of context you're talking about, I'm guessing, is
correct.
Freestanding element within an open space or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And as the applicant or Ms. Harris said, that there was a pavilion, a bulkier pavilion there previously where Chuck E. Cheese had a sign. So there is precedent for signage on top of a shelter in that location. Well,
that was my other question was the thing that was there before, which was in fact kind of a continuation of the roof lines and gables and sort of the elements that are all along the facade there, but it was freestanding. Was that at the time considered a shelter as well, or was that just part of the overall, kind of general facade architecture?
If tech team can pull up page 39, we have a visual of that. I don't know if the definition, as you all know, we redid our sign code recently within the past couple of years. I don't know if the definition for shelter sign was there before this time. Mm-hmm. So I can't really speak to how that was applied, but I do know that we do have that definition right now.
Okay. And if it would be helpful, I can read from you the code definition of shelter sign, which is any building sign that is part of or attached to an awning, a canopy, or other structural protective cover over a door, entrance, window, wall, sidewalk, or outdoor service area.
Yeah. Okay. Appreciate that. Thanks. Okay. Good. Thanks. Thanks for the clarifications. Commissioners, any other questions? No? All right, and I want to do real quick, I want to see if we have anybody queued up in the attendees section. I see a name out there, tech team, maybe you can let me know if these are folks that are connected to our agenda tonight or not.
They are not. So I would suggest running the video on how to participate if they would like to.
Perfect. Let's do that then. Let's run the video on commenting on the application.
Good evening. If you've connected to the meeting tonight via Zoom and you're on a desktop or a laptop and you wish to make a public comment, we can't currently see or hear you. What you need to do, please, is wiggle your mouse around and look towards the bottom center of your screen. You should see a raise hand button. Go ahead and click on that now for us, please. Alternatively, if you've connected in via telephone, you can press *9.
All right, thanks. Let me give it a second to see if any hands register. I'm not seeing anything at this point, so we'll continue. But if somebody does want to raise their hand and comment, please do. We'll stop and we'll make time for you to do that, because I realize it's a little cumbersome sometimes online. Okay. So based on really no testimony in that presentation, Chris, just to kind of put the frame around it, why don't you go ahead and for the record, give us the recommendation, please.
Staff recommends that the Planning Commission, based on the exhibits submitted, applicant's testimony, and the staff report findings and recommendation, grant a major waiver for sign 25865-2021, finding it in compliance with section 24-213B of the City Code.
Great, thanks. So I will ask one more clarifying question. I meant to do this before, I apologize. And this is probably for the applicant's team. On packet page 29, I want to make sure I understand. Are you proposing two different options for how to mount the letters above the trellis, one with a background, one without, or is that more of a technical detail with and without the background?
Just a moment. I'm
Okay.
on my screen to page 29.
29, it would be packet page 29. Tech team, if you can bring that up.
No, so, and that is I made the same, I was similarly confused when I first looked at that. The bottom image is the backing of the lettering. So that's what the letter, the image above is going to be mounted on that tracking below. So it's not an option, it's the detail of how it's going to be of part of the sign, I should say.
Okay, got it. So it's really just the one proposal to have a semi-transparent, I guess it's a wire mesh or some sort of a background field in blue, and then the illuminated white letters in front of it.
That's correct. And in fact, I should point out that it was at staff's suggestion that we change that background to the mesh to try to lighten it up a bit.
Okay, very good. All right, thanks. All right, commissioners, what do you think? Anybody?
I could start if you want.
Sure.
Just, I think this is a good example of something that probably should come to the commission just for a quick waiver. Sometimes signage comes to us and it probably doesn't totally deserve a quick waiver, but this is a great example of one that just really keep an eye on any kind of architectural element that could be invaded by signage. It's a great one to sort of show us. But I applaud the applicant for an incredibly thorough application, which makes it kind of easy. Eliminates a lot of questions, and I certainly agree with the unique condition of more than 500 feet from the nearest right away. That wayfinding is critical to get somebody back into this corner tenant. The last thing we want is an empty tenant, obviously, and we also don't want people circling a parking lot, particularly not that parking lot. So I think from a wayfinding standpoint, this is a unique condition and doesn't present any sort of particular burden to or benefit above the neighboring properties or the rest of the city. This is definitely something that I think the sign of this modest increase, despite the title, is certainly warranted. Again, 500 feet from the right of way, so it's a long ways.
And maybe just to add that it's consistent with the size of the signs on the other businesses. It's not as if it's trying to be more bold to the street than anybody else there on the site.
Yeah, I would even smaller than similar square foot size tenants in the same shop in the same center.
Right. All right, good. Any other comments, please?
I just want to say I agree with Matt. And I was looking at when I looked at this, when I viewed this, earlier today, I was like major waiver and trying to understand what that means. But even given that, I believe, yes, given the special circumstances and where the location of the business will be, I think this is more than reasonable. And I have no problems with this at all.
Sure. Sharon, you had your hand up. I'm sorry, I missed that before.
It's okay. I would echo with both what Danny and Matt have said, and I wanted to say that I've been there a couple times in the past several weeks to shop at CVS and then to eat at Chipotle. And I just want to really applaud not only the effort that you put in for this application, the seriousness that you took this. I mean, to me, a major waiver. I was the same as Danny. I was a little bit, wow, major.
Yes.
But I really, really do applaud you for the efforts that you're making over the entire center. It's starting to really look really good. And I'm just extremely grateful. So I wanted to just pass that along.
Great. All right.
I concur. I think that the number one thing is consistency with the other building mounted signage in the center. If we were looking at a, you know, if this same sign was in a center where all of the other tenant signs were 12 inches tall, I think we'd probably all feel differently. But it's consistent. It fits in, and seems to be another sort of unintended quirk of our sign ordinance that, you know, if the exact sign was bolted to the building, it would be fine. So we wouldn't even be talking about it. So I have no issues.
Great. Okay, thanks. And I assume this, I'm going to get into a couple of nitty details here, but I assume that all of the conduit utilities, all that is completely concealed. You won't see it from behind when this is installed, that somehow it's been buried in the structure itself. Is that fair to assume?
I'm assuming that is correct, but I'm going to yield to either Lindsay Lupino or someone from Federal Realty to confirm that.
Okay.
Yeah, Rob Jakubik. Yeah, so the conduit is in the sidewalk, and then it runs up one of the columns, flush with the column, so it's painted to match. And then the primary junction box will be concealed in the trellis element. So yeah, there won't be any electrical, visible. That would be a concern.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Yeah, especially from behind, since it's sitting out in front, you'll have people walking underneath and kind of coming up from behind. So a good clean installation would be appreciated.
Yes.
But other than that, yeah, I compliment you too on the thoroughness of the application, the sensitivity to how to make it work within the center, and I don't see any reason not to move forward. So, commissioners, if there's nothing else you'd like to add, are we ready for a motion? Anybody?
Mr. Chair, I move that the Planning Commission, based on the exhibits submitted, applicant's testimony, and the staff report findings and recommendations, grant a major waiver for sign -25865-2021, finding it in compliance with section 24-213 B of the city code with no conditions.
Okay.
Second.
All right, thank you. It's been moved and seconded. So let me do the roll call. Commissioner Wessel.
Aye.
Commissioner Winborn.
Aye.
Commissioner Cantrell.
Aye.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Aye.
And I'll vote aye as well. Thank you. That passes unanimously. Thank you all very much. I appreciate you putting together this packet. Looks great.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right. So that takes us to from the commission. Phil, can I start with you, please?
You can. I don't think I have anything this evening. I think I'm good.
Okay. Looks like you're making great progress on your porch. So
Slow.
all is right with the world. Do you have the rockers on order yet?
No, although that was a subject of much debate at dinner on Sunday.
What, rockers or Adirondacks? Was that the debate?
Or more style and material of the rockers.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, you'll have to keep us posted.
The twins probably just wanted to rock. They didn't care what it was, right?
Well, you got to put porch swing in the mix too. I mean, that's,
I'm not sure the structure is rated for a porch swing.
Whose fault is that?
Whoever built it 120 years ago.
Oh, okay. Danny, anything tonight?
Yeah, I'm a little sad. It looks like we haven't come up with a definitive answer yet, but it looks like we were very excited that the MPCA was getting ready to have an annual conference in person, but it looks like we may not be able to do that. And we're going to make an ultimate decision on Tuesday. So I'll let you all know at our next meeting, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to have it given what's going on with the Delta variant and the number of individuals who've signed up already. So, but I'll have more information our next meeting.
But you would expect to go forward with a virtual?
Oh, definitely. We will definitely have a virtual meeting.
Great.
Frank, you hear that, Frank?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. Now, Danny, I haven't received word about an open meeting training, so certainly,
Oh,
not to say I wouldn't be,
Oh,
we wouldn't be
then
available. We can do it.
you and I will be talking tomorrow.
Okay.
All right.
I will also say that I'm involved in a couple of groups that are trying to figure out what to do
Okay.
with an event in the fall. So I would be very interested in knowing as soon as you have an idea of whether this meeting can be virtual or not, because that may influence what we do, such as we have a joint county attorney and municipal attorney meeting coming up at the end of October. That's
Okay.
before your scheduled meeting. If you aren't comfortable moving forward, we may not, that may be helpful for us to know.
Okay, we're gonna make our decision next week. So I will,
Okay.
but I'm gonna give you a call tomorrow to
right.
talk.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll talk. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thanks, Danny.
John. Okay.
Thanks, Danny. And welcome everybody to the impromptu meeting of the Maryland State Events
Planning
Committee
Commissioners
here.
Association.
Oh dear. Sharon, anything tonight? Thanks for joining us for the short one.
Yes, I'm going to give a plug for my other organization, since Danny did. The Catalans Lakelands 5K is to be held this Saturday. So far, we've got 870 people signed up live and in person. We have our full cadre of volunteers, amazingly, signed up. Some people, we're expecting over 900 people on Saturday because the weather's going to be good.
Yeah, good.
We've got our 250 volunteers, but already people are saying they're quarantining. So some people are dropping out, which is, to be expected. But we're very excited because the city of Gaithersburg is one of our beneficiaries, the Dolores Sawyer Camp for Kids, the scholarship fund. So, yeah, but like Danny, I'm sure that some of the events like the thank you dinner and all that stuff is probably going to be maybe virtual rather than in person. But anyway, just keep your fingers crossed for good weather, good turnout, and safe environment on Saturday for us.
And it's such a great event. I mean, every year it's such an important part of the Labor Day weekend. Thanks for that. Hey Matt, how you doing tonight? Anything?
Hey, good. I can report that I'm doing no repairs on my home whatsoever, and have no intentions, plans, or future goals. So, but ULI is having their event in October, or at least they were as of this afternoon. So there are a few large events going on that involve some travel. But I know it's hard, and I know our population in our council is probably down to 60% of a normal. But we're going to charge ahead, because like Danny, we're kind of itching to see each other and slap backs and to smile at each other in person. So
Yeah. Good. Thanks.
Vaccinated, Matt.
yeah, right. And as part of the requirements, everybody has to be vaccinated. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So from the staff, Greg, anything going on from your end?
Just a reminder, the next planning commission meeting is September 14th, and that's a Tuesday instead of our normal Wednesday.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah, I forgot about that.
That is all I have tonight.
Okay, great.
Like, is that virtual?
It will be virtual as well. Yes.
Okay. And is everybody in attendance?
As of right now, it looks like yes.
Yeah, no further word on anticipated return to in-person meetings yet?
No, October right now is still to be determined.
Okay, sounds good.
Do
All
we
right,
have-
Frank. Oh, go ahead, Danny. Or whoever it was.
Do we have any, I don't think we do. Do we have any work sessions or other sort of one-off in September?
No, not right now. We have stuff that's in the queue from our end, scheduled soon, hopefully, but nothing's been scheduled yet.
Okay.
All right, real good. Franks, thanks for joining us. A short meeting. You got to put the plug in for future meetings and planning, so I guess it was worthwhile. And if there's nothing else, raise your hand if there is. If there's nothing else, have a good evening. We're adjourned.